We are live. Welcome to the Rebel Dividends Investor Update. Today is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. And we're about to get started here. Okay, so we're sitting in a situation where the macro environment is absolutely gorgeous. Likely we're going to see a forecasting of rate cuts tomorrow with the FOMC meeting. We have a massive spending package. We've got treasury companies, every stock on the world's trying to convert to a treasury company. And we have institutional adoption happening. So we've got massive spending, massive debt growth, rate cuts coming in. So that's all very bullish. We've got deregulation. The only short-term things we're worried about right now is that the month of August has been negative, 8 out of the last 10 years. 1 year it went up 63%, 2017. And other than that, it's been anywhere from like a 3 to 11% drawdown. So that's just something to be aware of. When we look at the M2 supply, the growth of money, it's pointing towards 150 to 170,000 Bitcoin by October. So also in the next 6 months, the US is issuing a massive amount of debt, about $1.5 trillion. So in the very short term, it clogs up a lot of capital in the system. But what it does is it fills up the Treasury General Account, which I think is going to get about $500 billion added to it. And that's the primary vehicle the US uses to control the stock market and to keep the economy rolling. So we're anticipating potential volatility in a flat line for Bitcoin over the next few weeks, and then a massive takeoff. And this whole timing is going to be very unpredictable. So we'll add some small hedges to the portfolio in the coming weeks, but really overall no major changes to the portfolio. So the estimate of the debt being issued over the next 2 quarters is $1.6 trillion and $500 billion going into the Treasury General Account. And then the rest of that money just goes directly to different parts of our budget or interest payments. Okay, here's a look at the global M2 money supply going straight up. This has been extremely accurate at predicting Bitcoin prices. Sometimes there's a little delay, but in general, this has been the main way to predict where the price is headed. So you can see in this chart, the white line is the money supply overlaid and then pulled back 12 weeks relative to Bitcoin. So this chart's actually predicting basically a straight line up from here, despite the seasonality weaknesses ahead, driving us to 170,000 Bitcoin, which would be absolutely wild. I'd anticipate our share price doubling or tripling at a minimum if Bitcoin were to go up that much, probably quadrupling. And I'll speak further on a bigger trend developing in another slide coming up. Here's where you're seeing the big jump in the money supply. So China is printing like crazy. US barely just started, and the rest of the world's been cutting rates for quite a while, driving the money supply up. Now, this is looking at the rate of change of money supply, which is possibly even more important than just watching it go up. So the rate of change is going up quite quickly. And if the US starts to cut rates, this is going to push dramatically higher. Now, my anticipation of rate cuts is slow and steady over several years, which is what we would prefer, to have a much longer bull market, and mainly because we want to be able to onboard as many people into our Ensemble Finance product as possible. And of course, the more time we have before the bull market ends, the better, to get the highest valuation possible. Now, the stock market's going crazy, lots of speculation. There's more margin being used than ever in history. Now, that can be a little alarming when you first look at it, but if you were to compare it relative to account sizes, the ratio is not anywhere near the dot-com bubble. And as you know, I believe we are heading into a dot-com bubble-like period for crypto and basically the NASDAQ over the next several years. And you can see we're nowhere near the levels we had in the dot-com bubble or after they had the COVID money printing mania. The stock market is pumping a lot of money into penny stocks and into heavily shorted stocks. So they're trying to repeat the whole retail versus hedge fund setup we had with GameStop. Meanwhile, our core position remains focused on Hyperliquid, and you can see they continue to eat away at their competitors. Hyperliquid does have a competitor starting to give it a little run for its money called Lighter. We're beginning to airdrop farm that one. Again, they are VC owned and not charging any fees, so they're not making any money, and they're basically just giving away everything to steal some user growth. But again, I wouldn't expect their token to do very well because A, they're not making money, and then B, there's a lot of investors who want to exit as soon as possible. This is Hyperliquid against centralized exchanges, and you can see it's grown to 5% market share. Just imagine the share price of Hyperliquid as this grows to 10, 20, 30% potentially in the next 2 years. Open interest at Hyperliquid continues to hit new highs. That's the total dollar amount being borrowed and bet into positions. This is just some technical analysis looking for a shoot up to 52 next for Hyperliquid. Again, I think we could trade relatively sideways for a few weeks, potentially a little drawdown, and then we get the unexpected jump caused again by more money in the system, which we're seeing with M2. Now, more importantly for Hype is we really want to see a transition from everyone betting on Bitcoin to diversifying their portfolio into other products, other technologies. And so finally, and this is going to start off with likely Ethereum or Solana. And it's looking like Ethereum will be the next big pump, in my opinion. If Ethereum could break to a new high, I believe it's going to set off a cascade of events that will create the altcoin season. And I think Hyperliquid will continue to dominate returns. In this chart, we can see over the last 7 days, Ethereum ETFs brought in almost 3 times as much capital as Bitcoin, even though it has a fraction of the market share. And we're seeing big companies like Galaxy unwind double-digit billions dollars worth of Bitcoin, and then they're rotating it into Ethereum. Now, there's a massive short position in Ethereum, especially if it breaks past 4,000. That could really push it higher. So as soon as that happens, I think that's when we're going to see exponential returns in Hyperliquid and then some more risky positions. So we're still on wait to get that signal to make any adaptations, changes to our portfolio. Jeff Bezos' quote I found very remarkable. You can be grinding for 4 years with no results, and in the 5th year, become the biggest thing on the planet. The power of not giving up is real. Okay, there's some rumors that Powell's considering rate cuts. We'll see what he says tomorrow. I think by September, we should start seeing some rate cuts coming in. And again, I think they'll be slow and steady. There's really no chance of recession. If anything, there's a risk of inflation picking back up from this massive spending bill. Let's see if we have any questions. Nope, not yet. Performance summary. Our share price yesterday was 0.00364 with a drawdown of 6%. We have 4.7 billion shares outstanding with a $16.8 million portfolio, a cash balance of $579,000. 2022, we paid out $2.2 million to shareholders directly. 2023, we paid out $4.7 million to shareholders directly. 2024, 6.8, and this year we're up to 2.7. There are no changes to the portfolio. We're looking at adding some small hedges just to help try to keep the share price flat in case there's any volatility in the coming weeks. Again, with massive spending and rate cuts coming, and the M2 supply going straight up, and the rate of change of the M2 supply accelerating, it's very hard to be bearish. But again, we're going to play a little careful and have a little hedge going into August. Okay, very good. I will go ahead and take any questions. We're still battle testing Ensemble and still hope to get that live on mainnet in the next 2 to 4 weeks. So because the next 2 months seasonality is not the greatest, it's really a wonderful time to go live with a small beta test, work out any kinks, and be ready to go full bore as hopefully the market bursts into new highs into October. Aaron's saying, yeah, October through December should be absolutely just really, really, really good for us. And those are the strong months of the year, seasonality wise. So we've got all this M2 pressure building up over the next 2 months. And then we get all the seasonality factors kicking in from October to close out the year. So yeah, Aaron's asking if I think a 2 to 4 times return is possible in the final quarter. Yeah, I think we'll hit that target in October and then see even greater returns into December. Any other questions out there? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. If you have anything you want me to cover next week, let me know. We are grinding on Ensemble and trying to get it to market. Again, we're going to start off with a 100-person beta group and really get all the bugs figured out. We're already doing massive testing on this end. And then once we are seeing Bitcoin break out, that's when we'll start the heavy duty marketing. And again, what we'd like to do is hold that product, that asset, for around 2 to 4 years, and then in peak bubble mania, try to exit that property to BlackRock, iShares, some of these companies that specialize in ETF business models, and hopefully get a massive paycheck and a massive dividend to pay out to our shareholders. That's really my main goal with that one. Don says, is Per our baby? Yeah, so if hype's going up, Per could just go parabolic. So far, the spot coins in Hyperliquid have been pretty rough, except for Per, which is their official meme coin and mascot of Hyperliquid. So we continue to hold that position. And they've been saving their next airdrop, so there's no idea when that's going to happen. But yeah, they're saving that card up their sleeve to play at the right moment, I believe, to really drive the market cap of Hyperliquid parabolic at the right time. And we still got the NFTs we won from the airdrop, which are now trading at 100 grand a pop. Those can go nutty as well. So. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you back next week. Same place, same time. Have a great weekend. And yeah, get excited. Everything's really working in our favor. I just wanted to warn you to potential volatility over the next few weeks, but overall with rate cuts, massive spending package, the debt ceiling raised 5 trillion, That's looking very good. Okay, thank you guys so much, and we'll see you back next.